Hello, welcome to a brief run through. We're going to be playing arcade mode on the story for Awakening on very hard. Playing one of the two starting ships between Angel of Pain and Chaos. For this run, we're going to be doing Pain, which does not have access to its special. Instead, we have a fairly strong main and secondary weapon that we'll be using, or alternate fire. This game is a shoot 'em up similar to bullet hells like Toho. In fact, it's very similar to that game, and to some degree, but it is more rooted in the classic STG vibes. That being said, the game has some pretty stark differences. There is no continues. You have a life or an HP counter on the top left. Underneath that, you will have your secondary alt-fire charge gauge for any secondary fires that have charge-ups. And then below that, you will have your bomb counter or special listed for how many uses you have charged up. But in this case, we don't have that, so instead we just have the skull counter or bone counter down there, which modifies and shows our growth rate for our current angel or ship. If you're looking at what STGs commonly refer to them as, but this game calls them angels, which is what we're currently playing as. Over the course of that game, our angel will grow in size. The hitbox will not change. It's denoted by the crosshair that you can see hovering directly over the center of the angel sprite or image. And that will steadily grow over time. At level 8, which we'll get into in a second, I will be a maximum size with my maximum damage potential. You can still continue to gain experience and level up past 8, in which case it will only add to your current maximum life total, or HP. On the top right of the screen, you will see the mode that you're currently playing, which mission you're doing, and then the difficulty plus the stage number that you're currently at. Arcade mode generally runs stages 1 through 5 for its missions. And then in this particular mode, we have to use a preset ship, which is why we selected one at the beginning there. Underneath that, you'll have your total experience, and it'll tell you your current level, and then it'll slowly, steadily build up over time. Under that, you'll have your experience rate counter. As long as you don't get hit, that bar will steadily grow over time, increasing how fast you will level up and get stronger. So you are rewarded for avoiding taking hits. We'll explain a bit more mechanics as we get in here. So this is the first boss that we encounter. This particular boss has a number of attacks and different limbs that we need to destroy in order to reduce the number of potential attacks that she can do. On this particular difficulty, bosses such as this one will be a little bit less spammy with attacks and far less aggressive in general. That is true for all enemies in this game, for that matter. But as you can see, I'm getting all these like green hearts, sometimes blue hearts. You're rewarded those for getting up in the face, being aggressive against enemies. This helps charge your special as well as your HP back up if you take a hit. So, because we don't have continues, if that HP or that life bar goes down to 0, the run is over. We are dead. So it is effectively always a run credit clear attempt at all times. So that is one big change to that this game does compared to a lot of other shoot 'em ups or bullet hells. This is normally you have a life and a continue counter, but in this game you don't have that. So another cool little thing is that collisions do not cause you to take damage. Instead, they just knock you away from the enemy. That can in turn, though, bounce you into like an enemy projectile or into potential harm's way. So you do want to be really close to the enemy. Don't get too close though, because again, if they do hit you, do throw an attack, it's very likely that you will take a hit from it. When you take a hit though, you will get a slowdown effect. The game appears to lag, but it's actually just a slowdown effect that will allow you a brief few seconds to recollect yourself, reposition with a bit more precision, much easier, and avoid hopefully taking another immediate hit. It will immediately also trigger a red shield that'll surround you, removing the closest projectiles. But you can still immediately take damage from new sources that connect with you as that shield begins fading, because it only lasts a few seconds. And you're not invincible at any time in this game. So it's just the shield that gives you temporary invincibility or removes bullets that could actually hit you. The blue one is gained when you level up, and then a green one will spawn around me if I regenerate HP. And those do the exact same effect as the red one. The only caveat is they don't remove the bullets. Instead, what they do is they protect you from incoming bullets to a certain degree. So they don't immediately remove them, they just protect you against them briefly, which can, some of the enemy projectiles can pierce it and kill you anyways, so just be warned about that. So we're approaching our second boss. So we have a primary attack. As you can see, I've been using that. Using that attack is what generates the green hearts if I'm in close range to the enemy or boss. If I use my secondary or alt fire, that will generate the blue ones. And that will give me reduced charge for my recovery and special resource. As you can see, the boss is spawning lots and lots of projectiles with the charge up on the alt fire or secondary attack I have. It does allow me to remove or push away some projectiles. Projectiles all have durability from enemies. On this difficulty, the projectiles have far less durability. I just got hit there, so it's a perfect example of the slowdown effect in action. And again, showing how the how you don't actually have iframes, and it just removes incoming bullets for the duration that it triggered. So anyways, we took 2 hits there. It's not a big deal. We still have 4 lives. But as you can see, the charge up attack, now that I'm a higher level, now fires missiles as I'm holding it. When it's fully charged, you'll see the blue bar on the middle left be charged, and then it'll go down, showing the cooldown state. You do not want to be firing your ability when it's not fully charged, because it'll be less effective. And again, this game rewards you for being aggressive, so being up in their face maximizes your damage. There is damage drop-off the further away from enemies you are. And if you're too far away from enemies, you're not going to be gaining your health or resources back, which are the green and blue hearts. And yeah. So the other thing that you've been seeing dropping is these skulls or bones. Picking those up will, again, greatly increase your experience rate and growth. They're just a massive boost to your experience. If you do miss picking them up, that bone rack counter will go down slightly, or the experience rate gauge will go down slightly. Not by much. They give you more back than missing them would take away, but you do want to get them. Enemies will also drop additional experience, which are the orange-looking blobs that spawn when you kill them. Collecting those also further helps gain experience as well, but it does not add to your experience modifier, which at the moment is 95%. And since I'm not taking hits, it's going to steadily, slowly grow back up to 100, which again is based off of the bone racks that I've picked up. Because initially it only goes up to 50%. So I'm almost at 100% efficiency for experience and growth. Alright, so we're at stage 3 boss here. So this boss has a lot of different parts of the body that we can take out. All the eyes around here also fire individual projectiles, like the little ones that you see floating around. And then her main attack is the one that fires the straight down projectile that spawns other projectiles. So you want to kind of take care of that. As you can see, I leveled up and it activated the blue shield, which again absorbs some of the incoming shots. We do want to be careful of how we're navigating around. Ideally, like I said, you want to not be taking damage. Because you can see if you look over at the experience on the right-hand side now, it is at 94 now, but it was higher. It was almost 100 before we started the boss. Because I got hit during it. But because I'm keeping close to the boss, I'm generating lots of health back, so as long as I don't keep taking hits, we'll stay healthy and not have to worry about that. The bosses generally have 2 or more phases. This boss has 2 phases, so she'll start doing different attacks. Generally, your stage 5 boss will always have about 3 phases to go through. But yeah, that's the general rundown of like gameplay and the mechanics as we're progressing. Again, like, even though this is a shoot 'em up and looks like it is on rails, you can again speed things up by killing enemies quickly as the waves appear on the screen. Same with killing the bosses quickly as possible as well. So your time is greatly affected by your actions throughout gameplay. As you can see, and by hearing, this game has a very interesting soundtrack that reflects the sort of macabre horror theme that the game has. And yes, there is some mild nudity, as with the whole aspect and theme and story of the game being about humanity's evolution or mutation that resulted in the extinction of the humanity that we once knew. That was the general rundown of the kind of the story, and the sun has been diminished, so the world has gone very dark and very cold. As humanity apparently attempted to remove all possible sin and corruption and all of the bad. They also got rid of all of the good along with it, and henceforth, all of the dark misdeeds, sin, and all that corruption, in turn, could never be removed. So, the whole point of the story with the angels that we play is we're trying to find a new self, discover our new selves, and some kind of salvation. But yeah, the music kind of evolves a bit over gameplay, as you've been hearing. It starts really calm in the earlier stages, and then can get a bit more chaotic and sound very differently as you progress further and further through the game. Yeah, the visual art style can be a little grotesque for some people, but it doesn't really bother me too much. It's pretty mild in comparison to some of the other stuff that I've seen over the years from games that most people probably might have been more familiar with. But yeah, so I guess like one of the main things, I guess, for most people is this game does have a lot of depictions of body mutations or body horror. Again, it's very mild. I would say it's very mild in some cases, but for some people it could be a little bit more concerning in some form. But definitely nothing out of the. Definitely nothing too crazy from games like Castlevania and stuff, where we've seen very interesting enemy designs and stuff like that. The game is just leaning a bit more heavily on the fleshy, sort of bony aspect of design, more biological design of enemies and that, with the environment as well. So this guy, we destroyed both eyes there. That makes it a lot easier to deal damage to the main portion of the head. And again, sticking close to the boss is what allowed us to keep regenerating health that we were missing, as well as maximize our damage. But yeah, removing those eyes made that boss significantly easier because he was able to do far less attacks, which made it, in turn, much easier to avoid taking additional or further damage. But yep, you can see that we're now level 7. We're much bigger than we were when we initially started on stage 1. Our bullets have changed size as well, and we've gotten more projectiles on a wider spread. This is changed per each individual angel that you play, as you're attempting to do run-throughs. So there is no on-screen timer displayed anywhere through the game, or I don't have one showing. That is because the game does track everything in IGT, which we'll get at the very end after we get to the credit or ending sequence, in which it'll show you a printout of your breakdown of how well you did per stage, and when you finished on, and that kind of thing. So you will get that result screen on a successful or a unsuccessful run if you die. So, if it says 1 to 5 stage clear, then you've completed an entire arcade run, at least on very hard. If you're playing something like Chronicles mode, which is another game, another portion of the game that I'll get more into in a different video. Chronicles mode allows you to evolve and use an angel around a playstyle that you want to develop and be comfortable with. So it gives you a lot more flexibility. You can also grow or level up your angel with some other unique abilities and passives, and the weapons, like your primary, secondary, and specials, can be stronger the more you play in that particular mode. But again, I'll get into more detail when we actually get to that particular mode. But this standard arcade mode here is not the only thing the game has to offer. Again, it does have 2 variations to the arcade mission sets. And then there's 3 difficulties in the game. The first one being very hard, which is what we're doing. The second one being extinction, which is a bit more for more experienced veterans. For sure. If you're new to getting into an STG like this, then you might be a little turned off by seeing that there's only very hard, but actually very hard is not too bad, but it is designed to kind of ease you a bit more into the harder difficulty, such as extinction, which is what the game is more commonly meant to be played on. And then there's one other difficulty beyond that, which we don't currently have unlocked. Extinction is really hard, and I'm not the best at bullet style shoot 'em ups. I come from a background of only really spending a lot of time with things like a Mega Boost, which, well, is a shmup, isn't really a bullet hell, so not quite the same thing. But anyways, this is the stage 5 boss. She is, as you say, very spammy compared to the other bosses. Very much designed to be a much harder boss than the other ones we've fought. She does have 3 phases. We're currently in phase 1. We do want to try to break off some of her limbs, because it'll make it easier to dodge some attacks, if we can break them. If we're close to her, we can avoid that attack that we just did. We do want to be careful, though, about getting too close all the time, though, because she will start doing stuff like this, which tells us that she's on stage phase 2. You can see the shields that are activating for my health recharging and from leveling up. Greatly helping out there. Yeah, want to be very careful as we dodge things. Yeah, your positioning matters a huge deal throughout playing SCG games like this, because the enemy is reacting to you. That attack is very hard to dodge, especially if you get yourself tied up like that. So that attack, she starts staying on phase 3. She charges towards you, fires projectiles, and then lunges. And because I don't have bombs, I can't screen clear those bullets, but you can see, like, when I get hit, it activated a shield that removed the bullets immediately around me. So I could at least recover a little bit. Taking use of that shield there. There we go. That would be GG. Like I said, after the ending sequence and the credits here, we'll get the end results screen, which will give our breakdown of the run. I've been enjoying my time with this game. It's definitely one of those obscure kinds of games that are right up my alley. I tend to look for interesting games or obscure games that have some sort of interesting concept, maybe some interesting music or story, and enjoyable gameplay. And again, this isn't a typical type of game that I would play, but it's been extremely fun for me, and I will be continuing to play it because it's just that fun and easy to get into, and a lot of fun with just the general gameplay being so simple, but a bit more complex than meets the eye under the surface of what you see. But yeah, so you can scroll those credits text if you want to read more about the story. You can do so at your own leisure. But yeah, we can see our finished playtime right there on that run through was 21 minutes 21 seconds and 53 milliseconds. You can see above that at stage 1 to 5 start and clear. And then you can see our breakdown per stage and our totals, which are basically what your scoring stuff is. That about does it, but as I explained, when you're playing through the game, you'll be collecting things like the blood, which is the green hearts, and then the blue ones, and that in turn affects your recovery rate for your special as well as your HP. And then the lipids are basically the little extra experience that some enemies drop, and then the metals are basically those bone racks or skull racks that you see dropping. Those are what give us the experience modifier, and it shows that I got to level 8, and I've collected 39 of them throughout that run. And I'll give you the breakdown of like how many of each of those pickups that you've collected, which is very important generally for progressionary style gameplay, which is not commonly found in a lot of STGs. But anyways, hopefully that brief explanation is helpful for those people for their first time checking this game out and getting into it. And I hope to see other people attempting to play through this game. And, hopefully I'll be playing on Extinction next time around as well.